Hello everyone, my name is Yalcin and I decided to make a video about how we can go basically full strict in CloudFlare for our server or for our domain that uh, basically has somewhere else but connected to CloudFlare and basically uh, have everything full strict, not flexible. Probably the moment that you switched from flexible to full strict, you basically uh, had, let's say, error on your website, and you probably switch back to the flexible mode to resolve that issue. The thing is that to be able to use full strict, we need to do a few more steps. Uh, the reason why I decided to make a video about this is that I saw that most of the tutorials like shows how we can do it. Maybe have WordPress or some kind of cPanel for administration, but I couldn't find a very well uh, tutorial to show how we can do it without a virtual private server, how we can do that installation. So I decided to make a video about it, and there are a few steps that uh, I want to basically go over and show you how it's done. So first thing is that we need to create origin server. Here we need to create basically two certificates for the SSL. And this is important because in Flexible you can see uh, basically all the things are communicating through HTTP. Uh, but here basically in the full strict we have end-to-end encryption between Cloudflare and our server as well. So everything basically is full HTTPS. And uh, to enable that, we need to go to origin server for this domain that I just basically activated from my domain provider, which is Namecheap, to here, Cloudflare. And I'm assuming you know those steps and you have done the same things up until now, because I'm assuming your only issue is to go full strict SSL, not some kind of issue, let's say how to connect to the Cloudflare from your domain provider and manage everything through Cloudflare. I hope you can, if you haven't done that, you can basically find a lot of tutorials on that. So we go ahead and create a certificate. Okay? And here you can basically read more about those things from Cloudflare documentations. Basically, all the certificates we created will be valid for all the wildcard subdomains and the main domain, and it will be valid for 15 years. You can customize this one as well. So if you go ahead and create this, you'll get two certificates. And by the way, make sure that you don't paste this to someone else, so on, because this is, as name says, private. In my case, it's fine because the moment I publish this video, I will basically revoke those certificates. And in general, I don't use this domain at all for any kind of development or production environment. So here, what you can do, you can log into your server, and as I said, I assume that what you do is you basically have your virtual private server and you have your web app or anything API set up there, up and running, and you try to connect the domain and have everything in full strict mode, SSL, for the SSL. So first thing first, we need to make sure that we copy all certificates from here. So to use that, I will basically use a file to do that, basically file. And you will see that when you copy this, you usually have an empty line. Make sure you don't have that, because in case you have it, uh, it will probably not be a valid certificate. Okay, so that is the first certificate, and go ahead and copy the second one as well. Make sure you don't have any additional line in here too. And once you have that, you can basically close this. But for now, I will keep it open until we basically finish saving up those certificates. This is just an ID that I use, so this is nothing in the server yet. And what we can do is we can basically log into our server. So basically, right now I'm in my local machine, but I will SSH into my server. Okay? And from here, we can go to etc SSL, and you can see I already have a few certificates for other domains. But for this one, which is named so, I'll create new ones. Okay, so we'll go ahead and I'll use Vim for this purpose, and you can name it as your domain, but make sure you have additional extension called for the first certificate. It's called PEM, and for the second one, it's key. So you'll just say the domain name is the written domain for my case, and .pem for the first certificate. In case you don't use Vim, you can use Nano as well, but I prefer Vim, so I use basically Vim. Now, you can basically come to the first certificate that you copied from CloudFlare and copy it all, okay? And go back to your server where you have the Vim open. Save this, close this, see if it's created. You can see it's already created, this one, and we will go for the second one. But this time we will have extension of key, right? And that's it. Now we can copy the key, which is private key, and save this. By the way, I don't know how familiar you are with Vim, but you can basically do :WQ to save and quit. Okay, you can see basic Vim commands on anywhere, I guess. Like if you Google, you can just find it. So I think that's one of the main steps. Another main step is that you have the NGINX configuration. So here I am assuming, based on my scenario that I run into, is that you already had some kind of NGINX configuration, but it wasn't using full streak, also these SSL certificates. So we will need to do some changes. So I will put the domain configuration for the NGINX here, and it will be in the video description as well. In GitHub, you can basically find it. I will put the links there. But in general, probably if you have a similar NGINX configuration, probably you will be able to find the steps related to the SSL certificates and replace it or use these ones for the SSL certificates handling. So in my case, what I will do, I'll copy all of these configuration stuff, and I will come to NGINX configuration folder, which is under here. Have some of the websites running already in here, and I will now create new configuration file. Again, you can use domain name. That's what I prefer for the file name here. So we'll again go with this one, but now we will not have key because key was obviously certificate extension, but we will have conf file. We can open it, we can paste this one. So here we can go through this file a little bit. So we have two server blocks for the NGINX stuff. So for the first one, where we actually have, let's say, let me actually this one. Okay. Yes, which one would be better? This was So basically, this is the port that NGINX will listen. I think it might be like maybe a bit different in your case, but usually you use NGINX with port 80 to accept the HTTP requests, and with 443 for the SSL, let's say HTTPS requests. So in this block, basically talking about this, in this block, we are just saying that whenever we get a request through this port, that means through HTTP, uh, and just which is basically coming from this domain, which we will already handle in the CloudFlare, and I am sure you did. Um, so you should have a, let's say, a record or CNAME there. Whenever we get request on this domain, we will make sure that we redirect it to HTTPS version. So we don't accept any HTTP. Okay, that's one thing. Now, in here, we will have second block. This is for handling HTTPS requests. So here, basically, these things are similar as first block. Here are some SSL certificate configurations. So in the first certificate, we give the path of the PEM certificate that we just created under etc/SSL, and the second one is the key certificate. And here are some protocols preferred chippers. This is basically order of the encryption chippers methods that you prefer for the communication. And this project itself, I'm talking about this part. So this part is basically kind of Django specific settings. This is for Django application that I'm basically configuring. And here we are just showing the root of the project where the source code lies in the server. And we have index page, some basic stuff. Then this is really important for Django application because Django doesn't handle static and media files. So we need to handle that and some basic stuff and proxy forwarding, where I basically mentions that like forward all the requests coming to here to the localhost 8001 port. So client max body is the maximum body that we can accept for this basically endpoint or for this domain request. And that's it. And a little bit of explanation for this one is that I run the application through the Docker and expose the port 8001 to basically use for the NGINX proxy forwarding. And again, I'm assuming that you are already familiar with those things, and your only suffering is about having this full strict SSL configuration through Cloudflare. So this is basically it, and I think saved or at least copied this, and you can save it. And now, one important thing with when working with NGINX is that you always need to make sure that you check if the NGINX configuration you just dropped into your NGINX configuration folder, let's say, is valid before you restart it. Because if you have some broken syntax error or something in your NGINX configuration, and if you go ahead and reload or restart your NGINX, it will break, and you might have maybe some other domains under the same server using the same NGINX service uh, installed on your server. They will probably go down, and they will not be working until you resolve that issue on the NGINX. So to do that, first just make sure that you test if NGINX configuration is okay. In my case right now, it is. You can see syntax is okay, test is successful. So that means that you can basically run restart the Nginx. Another thing is that make sure these paths are okay, because if you will copy from my configuration, probably you will need to change some things. For example, you might not need this configuration, which is Django related. You might not run Django app, or uh, if you copy this, probably you will not have this certificate and this certificate under your etc SSL, which means that you will need to change the domain name accordingly. So after that, just save it to the NGINX configuration in your server. And assuming that you did like that, you can give it a restart. So basically, start NGINX, and we restarted it. Let's say we have something. So not right now. And I think this is something that we are saying we have the working, like the domain is probably connected. We can check if our records are there. I mean, I haven't checked after I just installed them. So I can see it's not there. And to do that, we can basically add a record, say the server IP. These things might take some time to propagate, but this is the flow. So you can just drop a comment and main domain, and this should be it. Once this is propagate, everything will be fine. So we now make sure that we have the domain connected to our server successfully. So whenever somebody says, this is the domain I want to go, it will take some time. So this is the domain I want to go, then it will work. And we just need to make sure that we also turn SSL, I mean full strict SSL, because right now I just set up this CloudFlare stuff and I never change it, the SSL mode. To do that, you can basically come to the SSL section, and here you have configure, and you can basically select custom SSL. And right now, by default, it's flexible, and it's something we don't want. And we can go full strict. Yeah, and it will basically work because we have the origin server. You can see it's already saying that whenever you're requesting, the request between Cloudflare and browser is encrypted, and the request between your origin server, which is your private server, and the Cloudflare will also be encrypted communication. So uh, it's more secure. So I'm not sure if these things will right now propagate. Probably no. So I will pause the video for some time to make sure that it is propagating. If something goes wrong, we can solve it, or I can at least show you what was the issue and so on. Give it one more try. Yeah, it will take some time, but this is the general flow that we need to follow. That's it. Okay, so some time passed, you can see from the clock as well. And seems like it's propagated in the browser that I used for this video. Basically, I think it's not still propagated because you can see this. It's probably a cached response by the Chrome, but I just checked it out through other browser, and it seems like it's fine. Let me actually show it. You can see here it's basically the same domain that we use in here. So basically, it's working fine. The SSL is fine, and that's basically it. And the web app is successfully up using the static and media files as well. You can fill it from here. This is a basically example web app that I wanted to use for this video, and that's it. So I didn't change anything. You can see I have just the records, and I have the basic SSL. Here is the full strict configuration. That's it. Everything is working. Make sure you have all the passes are correct to the SSL certificate, have the NGINX file uh, successfully configured, you can either use my NGINX configuration, or maybe you can get some help from uh, ChatGPT or something to customize yours. But for this specific thing, the full streak SSL, this is how you do it. And this is one of, like, let's say, very first videos that I have been recording. For YouTube, it is literally my first video uh, related to programming. And I would really appreciate if you would subscribe, or like the video, and in case you get some questions, I will try to answer. If you can drop it as a comment, and you will get the NNS configuration stuff, like maybe you can use as template in the description as a link to GitHub. So I hope this helps to you at some extent. See you.